Hello. In this video, I want to show you how to use Blender to make a super simple clip map for use in a game engine. I made this one for my Procedural World Generator project. A video for that is coming soon. This clip map is nice because it can be made very quickly and you don't have to worry about stitching together different LOD tiles because all the faces in this clip map are connected. The basic idea for a clip map is to have lower resolution around the edges and higher resolution towards the center. And you want the lower resolution parts to be much larger than the high resolution section in the center, so you get as much draw distance as possible while preserving as much detail close to the player as possible without impacting performance too much. At the highest level of detail at the center of the clip map, we want each vertex to be 1 meter apart. For all other LODs, the distance between each vertex will be some multiple of 1 meter, so every vertex is scaled perfectly with the world. So, we will start by deciding how many square meters we want our highest level of detail to be. I'll go with 512 meters for the highest level of detail, which we will call LOD 0. We can think of these LOD regions as being a combination of many LOD tiles, so our tile size for all LODs would be 512 meters. So if our highest level of detail is 512 meters, we can figure out exactly how big everything else will be. For LOD 1, I'll let it extend only another 512 meters, or one tile, around LOD 0. But then I want LOD 2 to extend even further than that. So the extent of LOD 2 around the other LODs must be some multiple of 512. So I'll have LOD 2 extend 1024 meters, or 2 tiles, outside of LOD 1. Now, if LOD 3 is our lowest resolution LOD, I want it to extend even further outside, so I'll add another tile to it. So it will extend 1536 meters, or 3 tiles, past LOD 2. So now we can calculate the desired final dimensions of our clip map, which would be the tile size times the number of tiles on the x-axis and the number of tiles on the y-axis. We have 13 tiles on each axis, so 512 times 13, 6,656. So our final clip map should be 6,656 meters across both axes. So here we are in Blender, and we will just go ahead and start by adding a plane. By default, the plane added is 2 meters by 2 meters. That's fine because right now this plane represents our 512 by 512 tile that we were talking about before. And if we subdivided this plane once, each vertex would be 1 meter apart from each other. So now you can see from our drawing that we made that our clip map should be 13 of these tiles by 13. So let's go ahead and make this grid of tiles by just duplicating this tile around. You could do this by scaling up the plane and then subdividing it, but this way I don't make any mistakes. Okay, so now we have our grid of 13 by 13 tiles. I'm just going to join all these together, and I'll merge all the vertices by distance. So now we have our grid of tiles that is completely unsubdivided. I'm going to duplicate this so I can use it as reference and then come back to it if I need it again. Okay, so now I'll select the whole thing in edit mode and subdivide it once, so now each vertex is 1 meter apart. So let's start to imagine this whole thing as having no subdivisions at the moment because each vertex is 1 meter apart. So if you have a plane with a single face, we can see that each subdivision multiplies the amount of faces on each axis by 2 to the n power, with n being the number of subdivisions. So with 1 face on each axis, 1 subdivision makes it 2 faces per axis, then 4, and so on. That is why we use powers of 2 for all our sizes for our clip map. So if we want to subdivide this plane with 1 face so that it now has 512 faces, we could find that 512 is equal to 2 to the 9th power, meaning we would have to subdivide this plane 9 times to make it a 512 by 512 grid. So if this means we have to divide our LOD 0 tile 9 times, then for LOD 1 it would be 8 subdivisions, for LOD 2, 7 subdivisions, and then 6 subdivisions for LOD 3. So basically what we're going to do with our grid is go through each of the LOD areas and subdivide them. So we know that LOD 3, which is all the way on the outside, needs to be subdivided 6 times, but we already subdivided the whole mesh once, so we will do it 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, so it seems that using 512 for our LOD 0 region makes it so even our LOD 3 region would be a super high resolution. So instead of 512, we're going to go with 64. So 64 is 2 to the 6th power. So if LOD 0 would have 6 subdivisions, then LOD 1 would have 5, LOD 2 would have 4, and then LOD 3 would have 3 subdivisions. Since we subdivided it once, we'll do twice and a third time. So now we're just basically going to select all the faces in the other LOD regions and subdivide them additional time. So this region contains LOD 2 through LOD 0. Just keep in mind I am mostly a Godot user and not a Blender user, so there might be a much easier way to do all these things. Okay, then we'll go ahead and subdivide it. Cool. Now we're going to go ahead and select the next LOD regions. Alright, and now once we have that selected, go ahead and subdivide. And now we just do the last LOD tile, LOD 0. Alright, now we'll subdivide the last LOD tile. Now this LOD 0 tile should now be 64 meters by 64 meters. So now we've finished subdividing our clip map, but now we just need to scale it up so that each of the vertices on LOD 0 here are only 1 meter apart. Now because this original tile was 2 meters by 2 meters, instead of scaling the clip map up by 64 meters, we'll scale it up by 32 meters. I'll just add a plane so you can see that now all the vertices are 1 meter apart, which is exactly what you'll want for your game engine. Alright, so that's the finished clip map, so now we'll just export it. As a .glb. I'll include selected objects. And I'll uncheck animation. I don't need shape keys or skinning. That should be good. I'll export it. So now your clip map is ready for use in your game engine. I'll have a video coming out pretty soon on how I use this for my procedural world generator to be the main terrain clip map for my game world. Hope this helps. Thank you for watching.